Hello and welcome to the aForm Show, the premier podcast for all things architecture and design across the MENA region. Welcome to your tribe. Today's episode is supported by SkyStruct, the groundbreaking construction and project management solution that's absolutely turning heads in the industry. They are bringing together architects, engineers, project managers, procurement, and essentially any stakeholder onto one singular platform. Yes, clients are included. SkyStruct is genuinely changing the game. Its tailored modules for construction management, inventory, labor, cost management help streamline the chaos of construction projects. They are rolling out very soon in Dubai, but you as the listener can get in early. Drop us an email at hello@aForm.studio and find out how SkyStruct is the future, and it is here today. Now, let's get into the episode. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. Today we are joined by Marco Maximus, lead interior designer at Keane. As one of the rising stars in the ecosystem, Marco has been involved in many of the region's leading projects. We won't get into which ones because we're sure Marco is going to share a few with us. We are obviously super excited to have him on the episode today. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Marco. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, thank you. And thank you for the very nice introduction. I've never heard it before. I didn't know about this, but yeah, thank you so much. I'm so humbled to be here and thank you for the invitation.
Oh, thank you, man. So I want to just very quickly touch upon, when we were sort of researching your profile, you're one of those few people that, if I'm not mistaken, is architect turned interior designer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's actually correct.
Okay.
I'm an architect, graduated from Cairo University. But the thing is, since day one working in architecture or even, studying, I had this passion to interior design and even the branding and furniture design. So I always, tried to, even, during the school days, I wanted, when it's an architecture, project, I always, tended to submit a brochure and an interior render and like a product, something like that. So
Nice.
I just look at architecture as something that gave me a lot of opportunities and opened in front of me a lot of doors, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. So why then, was there any particular reason you sort of then focused towards interior design? Because I can see someone like yourself even doing, product or brand, for example. Why interiors?
Well, it came by coincidence, honestly. So after I graduated, I started to work as an interior designer. That was my first job that I found back home in Egypt. And I was introduced into the world of detailing and working on residential projects and what the client needs and so on. After this, I wanted to join like an architectural firm just to have both and to still keep my, the grade and what I've learned at school. So I joined another multidisciplinary company back home, one of the leading ones. And I stayed there for I think 2 or 3 years. There I used to play different roles. I wanted to always participate into, as I told you, into interiors and so on. So whenever we get a project, in this report, I would submit an interior look and feel board for sure, because this, I felt it is something that complements the design. After this, I moved again to Abu Dhabi, and I moved to Abu Dhabi as an architect. But I was lucky, or it was a coincidence. That day, that company who hired me as an architect, they had a big submission for interiors. And they were like
I'm raising my hand right now.
No, they were like, do you mind if you just help us? We have a DD package that needs to go tonight. And do you mind if you give a hand with this submission and so on? It was a big mall in Riyadh. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I went in and I helped and so on. And then it went on and on for another few days. And since then, they called me Marco ID. So I'm part of the ID team.
Nice.
And then architectural, they tried to bring me back into architectural and ID already. They know that I've done ID with them. So it's I'm between both, which I really liked, And after that, I wanted to move to Dubai just to make a different lifestyle, to bring my daughter and my wife to find their other connections, the family is here and so on. I wanted to move here. And then I found my first Dubai job, which was luxury hospitality interiors, Yeah, and since then I explored how luxury hospitality works and interior design. And I went more into material selections, the brands, a 5-star hotel, 6-star hotel, and so on. And from there, I moved to my previous company as well, which also was focused on interiors. And I really liked interiors because as we were just, talking before we start recording, like it's part of architecture, but you have the background of architecture that gives you different aspects that you can work on, whether it's interior, whether it's the products, whether it's like, furniture design and so on. And I think it's more holistic despite being smaller into the bigger image,
Yeah. Okay. So then, I mean, I have to ask, right? Because you're kind of in that interesting gap wherein you sort of understand what someone like myself from the architecture end is trying to achieve with the space. And then, of course, you have your specialty now, which is interiors. I'm trying to understand when it comes to things like hospitality, for example, there's a lot of influence from many stakeholders, right? There's, obviously what, the owner wants and what the operator wants, and then what you want
Yeah, true. Yeah.
is not always the same thing. So from your experience, how do you sort of navigate that? Do you have, any experiences you can share?
I mean, basically working on hospitality projects like 5-star hotels and so on, it's different from a location to another, I would say. Like there are some areas, some countries that are still the clients, which are the owners, are not 100% aware of how this kind of market works and so on. However, I think it's a journey of education from the designer, from the operator, from everyone to educate the stakeholders and like to make sure that the client understands that. As you just said, like the client, what they care about would be like they want to have the best hotel in the region. They want something that attracts everyone so they can mark up their rooms higher and they get like full occupancy as much as possible all over the year. While the operator's aspect would be similar to that, but they need to marry the concept or the ideas of the client into one of their brands. What you can do in that brand, you cannot do in the other brand. What you don't do in this brand, you might do it in the other brand. So it's like it's like a conversation between, first of all, the client, what they need, and the operator, what they can offer. And then they agree on selecting a brand or something. From there, it goes to the designer. So the designer should be, before they start the project, they do something called the brand immersion. Like the operator will speak to the client and to the designer and will explain them the pillars of the brands, the keywords of the brands, do's and don'ts, like what we are looking for, what we don't look for, this kind of things, and explain about the clientele, about the guest who would be our visitors. And from there, the designer will start to create a narrative, which is, I think it's one of the key and the most important aspects of design nowadays, not only in hospitality, but also in F&B, also in retail sometimes. It's this kind of
storytelling.
Storytelling that holistically add all the aspects into one singular story that everyone can understand.
Yeah.
I think if you manage to bring this aspect, which is the narrative and the storytelling, into life, if you have a very interesting story, understandable, approachable, that everyone can go on board with you, I think this will make everyone's lives easier. And this is how you can navigate through the client's needs and the operator's needs as well.
Understood. Makes a lot of sense. Another question I sort of had with the hospitality space, this was more a takeaway from Index, which just concluded, and we have questions on that for you, specifically for you. But before we get there, my sort of takeaway from Index this time was, I come from the sort of luxury residential sector, right? Primarily, with a bit of hospitality here and there, a bit of retail and so on and so forth, both architecture and IT.
Okay.
Now, what I'm seeing, especially at Index this time, is that the sort of lines between luxury residential work, ID-wise, and hospitality to an extent are really, really blurring, right? If I look at the briefs that we're now doing for our residential clients, if you, were to slap on an operator logo on one of those renders, it could very easily pass off as a hotel room experience rather than an actual home, right? And there's a big, like I said, this blurring of this line between, what is a hotel and what is your home.
Yeah.
And therefore, I'm kind of wondering from your side, how do you then sort of differentiate this? Like what are hotels now doing different so that, people actually come to them as compared to just, I suppose, vacationing at home?
Yeah, I think, first of all, like, let's go back to what is a hotel. So I think hotel is a temporary home. Right. So if you live in Dubai and you just had to travel to London for some days and then you need to stay there. So if you stay in London for like 5 days, so you need a home in London. It's not a home, but it's like a place to stay. And what most of the hotels right now, especially on the luxury brands, they're trying to achieve is to bring this residential aspect. When I used to work in hospitality a couple of years ago, one of the most important keywords that we used to use is residential. Residential, even into the hotel. Like you say, like, I want to add this chair because it has this residential look. I want to add this curtain to add on some residential aspects, So it's something that's really blurred into the hotel industry right now. I don't want to say it's a trend, but it is like an evolution of how hotels became and like how the guests are looking for. If you want a guest to visit this hotel many times, they should feel like home. But then there are different, brands of hotels playing with the different personalities of the guests mainly. Right. So if you're a quirky, you would like to go to W, you would love to go to SO, this kind of hotels. But if you're more on the posh or like luxury, then you would go to the Ritz-Carlton, you go to the Rixos,
Yeah.
It's the hotel has personality that responds back to the guest.
Right. So do you think then operators are now looking to, I know you mentioned that they do have these sort of, brands within brands, so to speak.
True.
But then do you think then the future of that is that they're just going to create more niche brands moving forward? Or are they going to then double down on something else?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but I think nowadays you can see a lot of boutique hotels.
Right.
So boutique hotels, I think they are like the new, again, not a trend, but it's like the evolution of the hotel industry. Because what was found out that all the narratives or all the stories will not work for all the hotels. Right. But then what creates a really great experience or a nice memory to stay within your mind is how this hotel reminds you of this specific area. Right. Or of this specific experience and so on. And then we would start to see the boutique hotels just as new operators or even with the big players like Marriott. You see Autograph Collection, you see Luxury Collection, and these...
Autograph looks awesome, by the way.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
true.
It looks like ridiculously awesome.
And this kind of hotels are 100% based on experience.
Right.
And there is nothing common, like physically common between a Luxury Collection hotel in here and in any other area. Nothing is common physically. But when you look at the branding of these, you'll find that there should be some pillars that you need to achieve in order to be a luxury collection. But it's never like a color of a chair. It's never like a size of a chair. It's never that. It's few experiences that you need to repeat in other areas.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Very interesting, man. I mean, I can talk about this for days, right?
True.
it's such a science almost, right? Because I think then, sort of touching upon what we spoke about earlier, and one of your interests also being, things like, creating brochures and brand, so to speak. I think there's this very clear overlap when you start going down the route of, the boutique hotels and really, I mean, like the Autograph Collection is a good example, right? Where the brand is also really, really important. So I'm wondering from a designer point of view, when you get involved in these projects, especially if it's a new brand that's starting, right? This is kind of the first hotel of that. As a designer, do you then also get to give some kind of input into shaping that brand as you're designing the hotel?
Well, I think it's not necessarily, but it is something that I always do. And it's something that I always, try to participate in and keep my mark in that. Because as a designer, you have the bigger image in your mind. Like you see how you want to see this place coming to life later on. How would you want to advertise for it? How would you want it to be named and so on? And this is something I'm into it. Like I'm very fond of the branding and how to add this layer on top of any interior design.
Right. Okay. Interesting. I mean, I thought as much. Yeah. Good to hear from you. Switching gears then. So Index, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what a show, as always.
Yeah. True.
Shout out to the entire DMG team and Shu and, everyone involved. It was just, I was blown away this year. It was awesome. So if any of you listening were able to attend any of the design talks that happened on the main stage in Hall 7 and thought, hey, this stage looks pretty cool. I've not seen something like this before. Marco is essentially the reason why you thought that. And off air, we were also talking about, me as a designer, I was there for pretty much the entire time. And every day almost I started discovering these little details, right? And it clearly showed that there was a lot of work and time put into it. So I don't want to go into, obviously the concept was very clear. It was, in my opinion, quite a big success. I want to understand for you as a designer, now that, the event's done and you've received feedback and so on, what do you think it achieved what you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, I get goosebumps, speaking about In Circle. So because In Circle, basically, I think it achieved a lot of what I was looking for in the design. And as you said, there were so much details put into it, and you would explore a new detail whenever you turn around the stage or like look under your seat, even go to from another side. And you told me that you've experienced it from different seating.
Yeah, I was right on the back, the highest row. Then I was in the middle. Then I was in the front. Then I was next to the camera, next to the stage. And I was in a few panels as well. So I was even like in the stage as well. Yeah. And of course, I saw Firas's talk. So Firas really like smashed it with the entire sort of, it was almost like watching, like an immersive, VR show almost when he was presenting. Yeah. So shout out to Firas if you're listening.
100%. Shout out to Firas.
But yeah, so you're happy with it is what you're saying?
Yeah, I am actually pretty happy with it. There were some hiccups, but these hiccups no one would know.
Right.
And I know like there are some in any design at the very last days, there would be something that will go wrong.
Always does, right? I don't think there's, if anyone knows of any project, right, which went smoothly
True,
without any problem, I'm willing to bet a good amount of money that this has never happened ever.
No, I think it's like In Circle, especially as a collaboration, it was very successful and it was very smooth as well. Like whoever from the collaborators participated and our sponsors and so on, everything went very smooth. And however, because as you said, it was full of details, when one or two details were missing, you won't notice that because like
there's so much.
There were so many. There were so many. And I think, that what made me very proud of this space as well.
Right. Okay. So that then led me to another question, right? Because clearly, without any doubt, you are a very passionate designer, right? Things like Index, it is a time commitment.
True.
Right? And invariably becomes a time commitment outside of what your other full-time commitments are.
True.
And I know that for you, this isn't necessarily the first time. I know that you've been involved in, many other such initiatives. Search for Water, for example, was awesome. I've actually sat on that chair.
That's good.
Yeah. So you seem like someone that clearly wants to be involved in these things and is very passionate, right? So my question to you is, as someone who is similar to you, I know that this typically takes a toll on relationships around you, right? In my case, it's always my family because they always get like the short end of everything. Whenever I have a submission, I'm like, oh, sorry, can't make it. Or I have, a podcast to do. Oh, I'll be late here. Or I, have something else to do. Oh, I'll be, late here and, things like that.
Yeah.
And of course, it takes a toll after a while. So I guess what I want to hear from you is, do you have a solution to this? Do you have a sort of balance that you'd like to maintain with your life and work and so on?
Yeah, this is a very important, question. And for me, as I've mentioned before to others, I'm now learning to balance more. What I'm actually trying to do is I try to be at home as much as possible as I can, and be around my daughter and my wife and my family. So for me, like something related to the industry during my weekends, I would not accept it as much as possible unless I need to be there. Otherwise, yes, I push myself slightly. Like if I need to work on one of those, as you just said, the surge or something that will take from my own time, not my my company's time and my job, I would make sure that I do it after my daughter sleeps. So I push myself because this is my time. I can plan it.
Right.
So it's a learning curve, I would say, and it's a learning curve of when to say no and when to say yes about some specific events and where to show up, where we don't show up.
I think you touched upon exactly what I wanted to then ask you about, which is I've recently found that there is a lot of power and a lot of value in saying no to
True.
things, because I've found that the more you sort of open yourself up to opportunity, the more opportunity comes, right?
Yeah.
And before you know it, you now have one thing you said yes to, and then another thing you said yes to, and then 5 other things which, but that sounds cool. I really like that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I've found that off late that if I actually start saying no to things, I feel better about it.
True. Yeah, true.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, that was cool and everything, but that would have been a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, there is part of you, because you're a nice person and you don't want to say no to anyone, and you want to help, even if it's something that, like, let's say it's a project that you don't have time to, but you think yourself have input in that, and if you put your input, you will make it look better and so on. But on the other hand, like, you're taking from your family time, you're taking from your relaxing time, from your personal time, and then after, as you said, like 5 or 6 of these, you might not even be able to put this input that you were looking for, and you will have maybe a burnout at some time, So it's good to say no. No, it's good sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's establish this.
No, I agree completely. Yeah. So kind of then taking a few steps back again, I'm really interested about brand, right? Mm-hmm. Personal brand, I suppose, to an extent. I think that in this sector, having a personal brand is obviously very useful. Mm-hmm. And I think I don't see it very commonly with architects. I mean, I suppose, everyone wears black. That's
true. That's an architect.
That's an architect. But specifically, tailoring it for each person, the most complication I've seen with an architect is, like, I'll wear a pair of Jordans or something, and like that's the differentiating factor.
Yeah.
I think with interior designers, it becomes much more bespoke, right?
Yeah.
I think if anyone were to, see you, for example, from a distance, they can be like, yeah, that's Marco.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Very good to know. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, because of this identity that you have, right? So I guess my question is, was this it just happened that way, or was there some kind of curated thought to be like, this is how I want to present myself, this is what my brand is?
See, I mean, I started not having a personal brand. I didn't know it was called a personal brand, It was just exploring with what I'm wearing, was how I look and so on. Like, I think back in the days, maybe 12 years ago or something like that. I always wanted to have this added on aspect from the fashion design, and like adding a scarf or something. And then it actually grew with me, and I always keep changing. Like, I don't have a fixed look that I want to keep, but it stays with me for like few years, and then I start, it evolves by itself into another look, Like last time, I think I had a very thought identity or something was for Index, like because I wanted to promote somehow, for Encircle and for the color I'm using, and I started to look for clothing that has this color in it. Yeah, I mean, it's not very intended, but it's just who I am and how I like to look. It's not like I'm copying or I'm like forcing something, which I really like. Looking around us with whoever is the most famous interior designers and so on, they don't necessarily have to have like a specific look. They don't have to wear, black. Some people are just normal. And I think this is just what's inside you and goes out into how you look. This is the main and the best thing, I would say.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Makes sense. It is something which I think about a lot, and more so in a professional capacity also, to also think about, how do clients interpret this brand? because again, you almost become like a brand within a brand,
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, because if you're working for, say, whoever it is, whatever studio, because you then encompass the studio's brand
True.
plus your own brand and then forming, something else, which I'd be interested to think, have any clients ever brought this up to you saying, we'd want the Marco experience or anything like that?
No, I think it's definitely, there is something that the clients sees in you. Like sometimes the clients, they feel better when because everyone like thinks of the designer as a creative person and they should look, crazy like an artist and so on. But for me as well, I don't want to think that people hires me or like ask for my input because I'm like wearing cool or like I'm looking cool and so on. It's just about I think the clients, they feel better sometimes when they see this kind of approach. But for me as well, I try to keep it into like a professional aspect, sometimes depending on the client, depending on the place I would go, the situation. Is it the first time? Is it the second time? Is it the third time to meet the client? So it's like a gradual interaction, not just give him the brand in his face and like it will be like a bit overwhelming, I would say.
Fair enough. Interesting. Okay. Another question, since, we're going to wrap up on the whole index topic, I suppose.
Okay.
A question that I got from a couple of young designers that were there, and there were a lot this time. And a lot of them came up to me and basically said, I know I should be here, like I should be coming to Index and, seeing what's here. But, there are so many suppliers here. I don't really know what I should be looking for. Like, what should I be asking them? What should I be looking at? Because I don't really get it.
Yeah.
And then I had to explain to them, as I suppose a slightly older designer, be like, you want to notice quality. You want to look at, if you're looking at furniture, you want to be looking at, everything down to obviously stitching, but even, if someone has a unique piping detail or something like that, or if you want to be looking at, sanitary ware, you want to look at the actual build quality of it and basically breaking it down, right? As to this is why they're exhibiting. They want to show you this.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, if you don't know, just go up to a brand and be like, hey, I'm a designer. What cool stuff do you have?
Yeah.
As simple as that. So there are these things which I realize many young designers actually don't know. And maybe if they knew, they would obviously learn a lot faster. So similar to something like that, if you could speak to the young designer who's listening to you right now and says, hey, Marco, what could you tell us that we could do which would help us become better designers, learn something, anything of that?
Yeah. So I got the same question when I was at Index as well.
Really?
Yes. One of your competitors.
Is it the same person?
One of your competitors, actually, he has like I think he has a social media about design, and he is a student from Syria, I think.
Right.
And he was here for Index. So what I told him, and this is how I actually believe for young designers what to do. I think first of all, you need to explore and watch. Like you need to just go around, see what's that, what's this, what's that, what's this. And then if something, gonna grab your attention, that means it's something has a unique aspect just from outside. Okay. So, and I would highly advise the young designers to listen to the technical aspects and to the story behind every material or every chair and so on from whoever created it. Like, let's say, as you were talking about the sanitary ware, you go to the sanitary ware, be curious, tell them what's your latest collection or how is this different from any other brand and so on. And this will start building up in your knowledge about different brands and different, products and so on. Then when it comes to you one time to design a space that you need to select a product, you would have in your memory a differentiation between this product or that product. Shall I choose this chair or I choose that other chair? And it's something that comes with experience for sure, but you have to fill in your mind with this kind of detailing, and then you will call them back as a designer.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the designer is the one who is selling the products to the client.
Right.
It's not going to be the supplier or the manufacturer. You as a designer need to know the backstory. You need to know the technical differences between a tile and another tile, like a sustainable aspect, or it's like just something that causes harmful materials to the environment and so on. And from there, you create your story and you convince your client to agree with you on that product. So you work as a salesperson sometime.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is true, actually. I mean, I suppose the same thing applies to architecture as well. I don't want to ask, do you think this information is best received and best discussed at exhibitions? So what I mean to say is, do you think it's just enough for designers to, do index in the summer, do the salon in March, April, and maybe do, some other exhibition somewhere else, and that's about it? Or do you think it should be more interaction with local brands around you to see what's available around you?
No, I think nowadays it's the best thing to do is to go around by yourself and see what's around you. But then there are some special locations and some special hubs that they have like a specific approach to materials. Like as we're recording here in the Collab, for example, Collab has all the sustainable materials that you can find in UAE almost, So I think they are more than welcome, to come to Collab. Like I know Richard, he's a very kind guy. Just come here, speak to him, listen about the story of the materials and so on. The problem with the exhibitions is like there is too much happening. There is too much happening. Like I would say this year Index, I think it was the most successful version of Index. However, I would want this Index with the 1,200 exhibitors to stay for more than 3 days, at
100%.
least 5 days, because you don't get the proper time to go through the design talks or to listen to to meet with someone or like to look at all the materials and so on. The same with Saloni this year, and I mentioned this in one of the platforms. Saloni this year was massively bigger than the last year, and at some point it was overwhelming. Even for like an experienced designer who would go and walk there, you don't know where to look because there is a lot happening. I think the good product will stand up and will stand out. You will see it, but still you will miss a lot of these. And maybe a good solution for this is to get into the digital, brochures of these events. Like Saloni has their own magazine that they issue after the event with all the brands and the products. But then you miss this interaction with
seeing it in person.
Seeing it in person.
Yeah. I like it. I like the solution, Marco. I can see the brand advertising wheels turning. No, man, it's makes sense because that was actually one of my things as well. Because I mean, at Index, I was doing exactly that. I was like, constantly, I'm like, okay, do I really need to listen to this talk? I really want to, but then if I listen here, then I'm not going to have time to meet that supplier, and then I have this other meeting happening over there. And it was. I think the more successful they become, I think it makes sense to become a not significantly longer, but maybe another few days would make sense. Yeah, very cool. Okay. So as we sort of reach the end of the episode, so to speak, I like looking forward, right? So obviously, undeniably, you're very talented, you're very passionate, you love what you do. Typically, people cut from that cloth tend to be very self-aware and therefore know what it is that they want to be doing in the future, or at least be thinking about where they want to be going towards. So in your case, I suppose, what's next for Marco? What excites you? What do you want to work towards? What's the ideal project? What's on your mind for the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're asking me about the dream, my dream.
Sure. What is your dream? Let's hear it.
No, it's not a dream. It's not a dream. It's like it's a destination where I want to position myself one day. I'm looking for collaborations more. I like to collaborate with the brands. I would like to design furniture piece for a well-known brand. I want to be part of designing a faucet for a sanitary ware company. I want to be this person who has their own, branding that goes into other design elements.
Right.
So this is where I'm actually at right now, and I'm looking forward into achieving something like this.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, that sounds awesome. That's
Thank
a
you.
very, very cool dream to have.
Thank you.
And I'm pretty sure anyone listening, if you want to make this happen, we know a passionate designer who wants to do it. But I think you touched upon an interesting thing, which is I wanted to ask you, when you do these collaborations, right? I guess most designers typically work with normally a client and a contractor, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of standard thing. But when you do things like this, you're also dealing with other stakeholders, right? You're looking at, there'll be someone from finance who's on you, someone from marketing who's on you, someone from X, Y, and Z. So I guess the question I'm asking is, when you deal with a contractor, there's a certain language that you communicate in, right? With how you share your ideas and so on and so forth. When it comes to these other collaborators, do you, I suppose, speak their language? And if you do, how did you learn to do that?
I think like if you're talking about Index, for example, because this is like the recent collaboration that happened. I think the very common language between everyone is to take them on board on the journey that you're going through. So before I speak, like for example, I spoke to Index and I spoke to the contractor, and then I had few suppliers who I also wanted to collaborate with. And it's like telling the story. I told them the story of Encircle and I showed them the presentation. I explained everything before talking about how they can help. So for me, it's very important to align on the vision, all of us. And then this supplier or this collaborator will love the idea and they would love to give their best in it. And they will feel the ownership and they'll feel involved within the concept itself, not just supplying us with some fabrics or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
So I think this is the common language that we need to talk, is like including other participants into the main goal or the main concept, what you're looking for.
Got it. Okay. All right. And do you, from your experience, feel like there are any skills which young designers can pick up in order to do that better? Because I'm thinking this is a lot of presentation skills, of course, but even just general communication, graphics of presentations, etc., just to get that idea clearly across. Would you recommend any young designers learning any of these skills? Or
I think right now young designers, they have a different toolkit from what we used to have. Like,
oh, right, absolutely.
100%. Like now I look at any junior designer or anyone who's joining us for internship and so on, they have different toolkit, But you would know if there is a passionate designer from not. Even with the different, toolkits, you would know who is different, right, from a designer point of view. But again, the main idea is to go and look around, go and watch how people, do it. Open a magazine, just even if it's not like an architectural magazine or an interior magazine, just look at a nice designed magazine and inspire from there how they do the presentations. If you go to a museum and you get like a brochure, look at the brochure. How's it going? What are the font sizes? What's big? What's small?
Right.
Is it full on, colorful, or is it like a muted color? I mean, this is what I used to do. I used to collect these kind of things from all around, keep them in the drawer. And then whenever I have a presentation or a project for the university, I would open up my
inspiration
the drawers and then check if like I found a nice, brochure from the British Museum and I want to copy something from there. And I think this is how it goes. It's like you get from the most professional designer an inspiration into your small new, like project.
I love it.
It's very important, I think.
No, that's super awesome. That is pretty cool. That is a very tactile, actionable tip, which everyone can do. I think I might do the same thing.
It's just again, it's now like the toolkits are different. So I remember the day I finished my graduation project in 2012. After that, by like 2 weeks or something, I discovered there's something called Pinterest.
Wow. Okay.
I did my project without Pinterest. I didn't know it existed.
Right.
It existed that time, but we never had this.
Exactly.
So I think that even now, like the new generation and the new designers, they do the same as I used to do, but in a new way. Like they would create a Pinterest board about presentations. They would create something about logos. They would create another board about color palettes and so on. We used to do it a slightly in a different way. Now I feel like a dinosaur now, but it's like, it's just, it's not that far, but I think this is similar. This is similar to what we used to do.
Agreed. Yeah, I think I agree with you on the passion part. I think I go for juries quite regularly to different universities, and projects are typically all fine. I mean, yeah, there are some good ones, some bad ones, but generally everyone's kind of good. But what I really find that you can really sort of see, out of like 10 students who present, you can very quickly, within 5 minutes of them talking, know that that's the passionate one.
True. Yeah.
And these are like, yeah, they're kind of okay with it. And then this is the guy that doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
But you can very quickly tell who that most passionate person is.
True.
And yeah, I just wish there was a way we could, bottle that up in a product or something.
Yeah.
And be like, here's passion for you.
Passion potion.
Exactly. All right, Marco. So as a closing tradition on the show, we have something called the aForm tradition, which I'm hoping you're aware of. But if not, no worries. Basically, it's a question that's asked by one of our previous guests blindly to who the next guest is. You don't know who the guest was. They don't know who's coming on. So it's, kind of just up in the air. It could be about anything. So we have a question for you today, which I'm told by our researcher is fairly relevant to you.
Okay.
So hopefully it should be all good. I will just pull it up right now. So the question is, I mean, I think we kind of answered it already, but I'll ask you nonetheless.
Okay.
Which is, as an interior designer and product designer, is there a product of late which has inspired you tremendously? So I suppose that could be any kind of product.
Yeah.
Could be, I mean, it's open to interpretation, I suppose, but I think the more well-rounded question would be anything that you've seen recently which has really, really inspired you, really stuck out.
Okay. Well, there is one actually, and I'm sure everyone has seen it. And I don't want to look like I'm marketing for this company because I've mentioned it a few times, recently. But the recent product that I have seen is a toilet seat and a faucet by Samuel Ross for a collar.
Right.
I've seen that in Milan.
Right.
And as I'm telling you, I'm into collaborations and I'm into this kind of holistic approach for the design.
Right.
And I just like what they've done.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of a color.
Yeah.
Driven into the brand.
Right.
And I've sort of mimicked this. I didn't mimic it that way because I had the design ready before going to Milan. I had the in circle ready, but still, like I'm really fond with this guy. Like I like how this collaboration went out to reality, and this is something that's definitely impacting how I'm thinking and like inspiring me. Like talking about singular color, a branding that goes all around. Yeah. Even when we were at Index and I was looking at, during even the building day, when it was very messy all around, there was this boxes moving, like wooden boxes painted in orange with the color brand on it, with the collaborator.
It's like down to the packaging even.
Exactly, down to the chocolate that they give to you.
True.
Yeah, I think this kind of holistic branding is something that I'm really into, and it's very inspiring for me.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt that particular collaboration was a standout. I mean, anyone who was at Index has definitely seen it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of it, to be honest. It's a different take, especially the faucet. I mean, for me personally, I thought the faucet was much more intriguing.
No, it's something to agree or disagree on. Like I think it's a limited edition. It's not like for everyone.
Right.
And I'm not like inspired by the design as much as I'm inspired by the concept of something that is in that, collaboration. So going back to this, I think the collaboration was quite interesting. Even what was made in Milan in the Palazzo and how this became, again, like a streamline all over Milan.
Gotcha.
I think it's very inspiring.
Awesome. Well, I mean, Marco, like I said in the beginning, we can talk about this, all day, every day.
100%.
So I think we should save some for when you're on the next time.
Okay.
Because I think there will be a next time.
Amazing.
On behalf of the show, I want to thank you for your time. Like, again, we spoke about, time is this most precious, crucial thing that we're
True.
all trying to hold on to now.
True.
So especially, on a weekend, thank you so much for giving us this very precious time.
Thank you so much.
And we look forward to many more chats with you in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And for the rest of you guys, we will catch you guys next week. Fellow aFormer, thank you so much for your time. If this episode added any value to you, please share it with anyone who may benefit. If you want to carry on the discussion, please get in touch with us over socials. We are at aForm Show on the gram and hello@aForm.studio on email. That is at aForm Show on the gram and hello@aForm.studio on email. Until next time, stay inspired.